Police! Put your hands where I can see him! He's reaching! He's reaching! No, wait, no! No, 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 no! Stop resisting! If you've ever heard somebody complain about the grip angle on a Glock, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hello everyone, Hammerby here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about my Glock that I purchased back in May. So, about a Gen 3 Glock 19, you know, pretty old at this point, but I bought it brand new. So let's start off with the ergonomics of the gun. Honestly, I really like the ergonomics of the gun. I know people tend to complain about like the whole grip angle of it. Me personally, I'm not a grip angle snob. I've never really had any complaints with any gun I've shot. Like I recently also shot like in Springfield M1A. This doesn't have a pistol grip, but doesn't bother me. So I know some people it does, but for me, no issues. The one thing I would say is I wish the undercut was a little bit better. I know like on Glock clones like Shadow Systems or when people do custom work on their Glocks, they do kind of like, you know, remove a little bit more material so it's better, because sometimes when I shoot I do kind of feel like grabbing my finger a bit, but it's not really too big of a deal. I know some people don't like the finger grooves on Glocks, like that's one of the complaints about the Gen 3. However, me personally, I kind of like them. I feel like when I grab them it really helps like stabilize my grip, so no issues there. The sights, basic Glock sights, I know people complain about them that they're polymer or they're kind of weird. I would definitely prefer 3-dot sights, but once you get used to them, not really an issue. But honestly, my favorite thing about the Glocks, or at least the Gen 3, is that they're very lightweight. Like compared to my Springfield, my 1911, or my CZ, those are all pretty heavier compared to this. Like even though the Springfield is polymer, the slide is pretty heavy for what it is, and I recently did add a red dot to that, so now it's even more heavier. The 1911 obviously heavier, CZ heavier. Now the weight doesn't really like bother me. However, it does feel nice to have like a gun that isn't super heavy or just a little bit heavier. One thing about guns when they are lighter, you know, they do tend to be a little bit more snappy. It's not really an issue with this gun, so I like the ergonomics of the gun so far. Reliability, so before shooting this video I had around 1,000 rounds on this gun. No issues. I did have one failure to feed that did happen with the gun. They did happen when someone else was shooting the gun, so my theory is not that it was the fault of the gun. I think what might have happened, I did use a mag pull mag, and I know sometimes they can cause issues. I think what might have been happening is that when someone else shot my gun, they might have limp wristed it, and that's why there was a failure to feed. Because I think what might have happened is that the spring didn't like raise up enough and load the other gun into like the chamber. But other than that, I haven't had any issues, so that's why I generally don't believe it was the fault of the gun. I think it might have been a limp wristing issue or the magazine, but since then, completely 100% reliable. Trigger, I know it's a Glock. That is one of the complaints almost everyone has. The trigger sucks. It's a heavy trigger. It's mushy. It's spongy. However, I did notice that my cousin, he had a Glock. So when I shot his, I've noticed that me personally, the heavier trigger kind of makes me want to be more precise. Like I kind of focus more on trying to have more accurate shots. So while it is a complaint, I feel like it helps me in a way. And now that I've shot my gun and gotten better and better, I can just pull the trigger fast and I'm fairly accurate with it. So, you know, let's ghost that trigger real quick. Gun is completely unloaded. Nothing in here. So, you know, put my finger right here, you know, imagine it's my finger over yours, you know, quick embrace of our fingers, just a little bit of play and the reset. So, bit of belay, and so not too bad. Obviously, as you shoot your gun more and more, the trigger's gonna get worn in. So I don't really know what the stock weight is of. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the caption. But it's kind of heavy, but it's really not that bad. Like I've shot a Beretta in double action. That's heavier than this. Obviously, their single action is way better, but it's not that bad, guys. So another thing I wanted to talk about at the gun, which might not matter to some people, but as I've mentioned in my channel before, I buy guns for the aesthetic. If it's a good looking gun and it's reliable, I'm gonna buy it. The Glock, not the most aesthetically pleasing in my opinion, mainly because it's just like, it's a square, the grip, or should I say rectangle with the grip. It's okay. Like me, I love the 1911, I love the CZ. Those are like good looking guns in my opinion. They're classics. This gun, it's reliable, so it matters. As I've had the gun more and more, I tend to like the aesthetics more. One thing I did always say was that I felt like the Glock was like missing something, and I feel like I would watch videos and people put a light on their gun, and I feel like it just looks really good like that. So the main reason I bought the light was just because I feel like it completes the look of the gun. I feel like if it doesn't have anything, it doesn't look that nice to me. So I bought a light for the aesthetics, guys. So now you can hate in the comments, but I think it looks nice this way. But aesthetics are okay. Probably like a 6.5 out of 10. But what it lacks in aesthetics, it makes for reliability. All right, everyone. So now my favorite part of the video, which is the shooting portion, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. So trying to have some fun shooting. We'll be shooting some steel targets that are like, I don't know, 10-15 yards, I guess. As you can see, it fell off. All right, so now I got some pineapples there on the table. You know, shoot them for fun. That wasn't supposed to happen. So now, as y'all saw, my table fell apart. It honestly needed to be retired at this point. So I got a table, I got a pineapple, the leftover pineapples, a watermelon, and some cheap Walmart brand soda. So, time to shoot it. I'm just shooting regular 115 grain Blazer brass. Sorry for the wind noise. Alright, so here are the remnants of the watermelon. Pineapples didn't really get hit. I didn't expect it to to shoot out like that because, well, I had filled some of the watermelon in with this soda, and I didn't expect there to still be any like the fizzing and all that. So thankfully we got another watermelon and we got 2 more sodas. So I'm gonna go for the target all the way to the left. I got a couple of them. My ear's kind of ringing. I'm just like, is this thing not sealing? Alright, So I got another watermelon there for y'all. That didn't last too long at all.
That's what she said. Michael.
And lastly, I got 2 sodas right in front of each other. I put a piece of the table in the back, so yeah. Let's see what it does. Ooh. So I didn't expect it to jump a second time, but that was pretty cool. So we did my favorite part, which was the shooting. So let's get to the small setup I have. So I got a $14.99 Dickies reversible leather belt from Walmart because I needed one. I needed a belt for my T-Rex Arms Ragnarok holster, and then I got it with the Safariland. I'm not sure what the name is, but it's so the belt loop goes around. Pretty comfortable. Obviously this isn't like a duty holster because there's not really like a way to lock it in, but I wanted a holster that I could just have fun with just when I'm shooting on the range, and you know, stays in pretty good. You can tighten it the sides, so I'll probably do that. Not really too many complaints about the holster. I do notice if I'm walking around, it does sometimes kind of just like pull my pants down a bit, but you know, just tighten your belt, that's it. Obviously if it had like the belt and it had like a thigh, like a little the thing that goes around your thigh as well, it would hold a lot better, but I mean, for what it is, it does really a good job, and I'm just out here shooting on the range, so there's that. I have a Streamlight TLR1 HL. I'm not sure how much it costed. I think it was like around $150. Don't remember too well. I will say though, because the light does extend past the barrel, you will have to clean it because on top right here, it's dirty from, you know, the gun lube and just the powder and all that. And especially at the front right here, that gets really dirty from all the gunpowder and all that. So if you do plan on actually using the light, just remember to wipe it down, especially like the lens, because it's pretty fogged up right now. So my reasons for getting a Glock, a Gen 3, honestly, even though there's Gen 5s out there and I could have gone one of those, I went with the Gen 3 because I always hear really good things about the Gen 3. The Gen 3 is probably the most cloned. Like, other companies tend to clone the Gen 3 a lot because the patent expired for the Gen 3. And I always heard it's the best one. I actually like the finger groove, so that's another thing. And honestly, if you're wondering if a Gen 3 is still a good option in today's day and age, I just want to say there's people that still carry 1911s, and that's like an old design, revolvers as well. Anything you carry, the gun you have on you is better than the kind of gun you leave at home. And honestly, I really like the Gen 3. I think it's cool. Finger grooves really give it a nice, you know, nice feel to the gun. And overall, yeah, I used to not be a Glock person. I liked them, but they weren't my favorite thing. The main reason I got one is the reliability. It's a Glock. You know it's gonna go bang every time. So, and honestly, I don't regret my purchases at all. So this was like about 500-ish. Kind of depends. Maybe they could be on sale. You could get them cheaper. You can get a used one for probably a whole lot less. I got this one brand new, so there's that. But overall, I'm really happy with my purchase. So, to end the video, I had a lot of fun making it. And thank you all so much for watching. Catch y'all next time. Later.